and burn.
Hey everyone. So tonight, I've been meaning to get to this for a long time. I don't know why I haven't done it sooner, but tonight I am finally going to be discussing the collected screenplays 1 of Harmony Korine. This was released ways back. So officially, I couldn't tell you when this book came. I have no idea. According to this collection was first published in 2002 by Faber and Faber. So this is from 2002. And what this collects here, and unfortunately I will apologize immediately, this video may be incredibly long because there is a bunch to go through. There are 4 screenplays in this. 2 are contained under the title Jokes. And then there's the screenplay for Gummo, as well as a plethora of material to do with Julien Donkey Boy. Of course, the screenplay for Julien Donkey Boy is here as well, but there is a lot of prep work that is also included here for Julien Donkey Boy that is sadly lacking for Gummo. But yeah, so maybe I might even put chapters in this video. It's not really what it's about for me. YouTube's more just sort of this fun thing where I jump on here and I talk about stuff that I'm reading or watching or listening to. And I don't really care about chapters and all that. But seeing as how this one may run a little long, I might have to put chapters. So yeah, so the first 2 screenplays, or the first 2 mini screenplays, are jokes. And, oh, this is a tough one. So basically, the way it works, but initially the idea for the 2 mini screenplays that I'll discuss in a minute were born out of his love of mixing minstrel, tap dancing, minstrel, blackface stuff with how the Boy Scouts of America have a lot of child molestation in their history. And that is made abundantly clear here in the intro that Korine puts. I just don't want to read it all because it goes on and on. But yes, he, as far as the child molestation aspect in the Boy Scouts are concerned, he would go decade by decade showcasing the most infamous Boy Scout molesters of the day. I would focus particularly on the evolution of the Scout master molester, how with each passing era the methods and sophistication would increase accordingly, in essence becoming more and more uniformly perverse. So out of that really fucked up idea, he came up with this idea to write 2 short screenplays, or 2 short films, that are based around sort of old, like, Henny Youngman sort of one-liners. And the one-liner that the first story to do with Muggsy and his wife Karen, the joke that this is wrapped around is, it's a good joke, but it has nothing to do with the story. He used to date a school teacher. Every time he wrote her a love letter, she sent it back corrected. And thus begins the tale of Muggsy and his wife Karen, who are both albinos, who seem to have a ridiculous amount in common. And that all kind of falls apart one day when they go to their local video store and they decide to rent a gay porno, just sort of as a laugh. And it's through the renting of the porn film that Muggsy realizes that he's actually gay and that he's attracted to men. And this prompts him to go out and buy a bunch of, like, gay porn mags and start to, like, obsess about the idea of, like, the male form physically. And when he's going for a physical with his doctor that his wife Karen set up for him, and when the doctor takes a hold of his testicles, he kind of loses himself in the moment because he's like, oh dude, I got a guy's hands on my testicles, this is great. And the doctor has to remind him to cough. So when he comes home from the doctor, of course, he presents this to Karen in the worst possible way. Immediately upon leaving the doctor, he comes home and says, look, I got to talk to you. So Karen automatically assumes that he has something medically wrong with him. And when he tells her that, in his words directly, that he is a gay, that's how he frames it. He is a gay. He's not gay. He is a gay. Karen at first is a little sort of like, oh, is this a joke of some kind? But when he stresses the reality, the gravity of this situation to her, she gets very angry. And this leads Karen to attempt to light his favorite hat on fire that was hanging on a tree in their backyard. But what happens in the process of attempting to set the hat on fire is she ends up setting herself on fire. And like, she's in a bad way as the result of this. And the screenplay concludes with Muggsy hanging out with her in the burn ward of the hospital, where she's on one of those sort of like burn hammocks with the mirror underneath her. Like, for anybody that's seen The Outsiders, I can't remember which one of them ends up getting burnt, but same situation. Whereas when she's looking down in through the mirror's reflection, she can see whoever's with her. And Muggsy is attempting to sort of lighten the mood by saying how he's been able to hold his breath even longer, and this was sort of a running joke they had because they're both albino, so they're very pale. So when he would, like, his face would get so red, and they thought it was really funny. But considering that it sounds like 75% of her body is burnt, Karen's not really finding the humor in anything anymore. And that's how that story concludes. The second half of jokes is about two sisters. And this, I think, is the most... This has just about the most emotional depth from anything that I've ever written. I mean, everything I've ever read that Harmony has ever written. I find that, for me, when I was reading the story about the two sisters, one is blind and the other isn't. And the blind sister smokes as well as the sighted sister. And, of course, it always throws me back because whenever I read about, like, young people smoking, I remember myself smoking at that age. And somehow I always kind of get caught up in it. It's almost like when there's a story written about a teen smoker, I'll always identify with that. And the other thing that I found really strange about the second short screenplay under jokes about the two sisters is that it seems to be, or at least when I think about it, it seems to be a wash in sort of like a blue light, almost like, you know, when movies signify that it's evening inside of a household by turning everything blue. That's kind of what I see the story about the two sisters sort of existing in. And it's really touching. And the blind sister, she wants to be a ballerina. And throughout the course of the events of their time together, the two sisters, as they go from place A to place B to hang out with boys and go bowling and whatnot, they end up stopping by a dance school. And they both inquire about how you sign up. And the instructor is so incredibly good, but she's like, I don't know how to teach a blind person. She's like, I can make some phone calls to see if there's somewhere locally that would specialize in helping people like you. She said, but I don't have the resources or the training to teach someone who is blind how to teach them ballet. And so the two sisters sort of default out to just buying a pair of ballet slippers, and then they return home. And whereas on one hand, there's a sense of melancholy at play, I suppose. There's a sadness weighing down on everything, especially at the conclusion when it's made abundantly clear that unfortunately the instructor can't teach a blind person ballet. It's still, despite how sad it is, I always felt that this story had so much warmth too. Despite, like I said, the overall sort of like that funeral dirge vibe I get from the end, the rest of it, those two sisters, they felt really in tune with one another, and they felt like they were really together. And, you know, the blind sister had no problem holding on to her other sister, and they seemed to be like one cohesive unit. And I thought that was really, really considerate and caring. And I love how at this point in his career, Korine was like obsessed with working with and writing about the disabled. And I know that that harkens back to his obsession with Werner Herzog's films that he made, where he worked with a lot of disabled people. And I love that, because when I was a kid, I was at Sick Kids a lot because I have a mild case of cerebral palsy. And I got to know a lot of people there who were disabled in various different ways. So it's always like, whatever's happening, it's like I can always sort of find like a personal connection to the early works, the written or the straight film work of Harmony Korine, because of the amount of disabled people that he works with and the amount of disabled people that I've encountered in my life through either going to Sick Kids as a kid or volunteering as I did when I got older. So I've always really liked that, because he's always tackled that incredibly sensitive topic with so much grace and so much strength, and he gives such validity to a disabled person's existence. He's never making fun of them. You know what I mean? Like the scene in Gummo when at the end when the pervert comes up and tries to have sex with Chloe Sevigny and her sister under the false pretense of finding their cat Foot, and you see the deaf couple fighting. Korine wasn't making fun of them. He was just like, have you ever seen two deaf people fight? I haven't. And I never really thought how oddly loud it would be. And so I like that. I like how he puts these people in his films in order to sort of to say that they're here and they matter just as much. And that's cool. And that is the end of jokes. And look at this motherfucker. This video is 12 minutes and I'm only halfway done. Next is Gummo. Now, Gummo pretty much follows the movie more or less closely enough. There is a completely different opening, of course. It opens in the hospital. And I don't know. Gummo, reading Gummo instead of watching Gummo for the 10,000th time and realizing that throughout the course of the screenplay, there are things that have been left out. And of course, having seen Gummo 1,000 times before reading this, this is incredibly exciting to find sort of like even more footage that hasn't been used, so to speak. Like, there's so much, like, there's places, they go to Dairy Queen. There's no Dairy Queen in the movie. What else? I've knocked off a bunch of stuff in here that's different. Where is it there? As far as, remember in the movie when the bunny boy ends up bumping into those two kids who are like the sheriffs in the scrapyard, and they start shooting him and he falls to the ground? Well, that happens, but it doesn't take place in a junkyard. The same thing is going on. They shoot him to the ground and he falls and plays along and everything, and they're like, fuck this rabbit and all this shit. But it doesn't take place in a junkyard. So things like that will pop up through the course of the screenplay for Gummo, that it's not exactly, it doesn't adhere to the film, which again is a complete and total fucking rad surprise when you finally get to read the screenplay. It makes reading the screenplay that much better when there's things in there that you haven't come across in the movie. Now, I will argue too that maybe some of the stuff actually was shot, because I know that he had used a bunch of unused footage from Gummo in The Diary of Anne Frank Part 2, which was in some gallery in LA somewhere a ways back. I mean, well, not a ways back, way back. And it was called The Diary of Anne Frank Part 2, and it used sort of deleted scenes, I suppose, from Gummo. So perhaps, of course I haven't seen it again, so perhaps the extra stuff that's in the screenplay could have ended up in The Diary of Anne Frank Part 2. I don't know. And then lastly, of course, is Julien Donkey Boy. And Julien Donkey Boy, there is so much work put into this. Like, prior to, where is it? Let's get back to the start here. Prior to reading the actual screenplay, you are treated to 120 or so scenes from Julien Donkey Boy. And it will say, 1, text written out in formal handwriting on a black screen, yada, yada, yada. 2, no opening credits at all. 3, a 10-year-old boy is standing all by himself in the middle of a muddy pond, and it talks about the kid with the turtle that Julien kills at the very start of the film. And it runs down so many scenes that are in the film, as well as a bunch of scenes that aren't in the film. And I will say the one thing that bothered me the most, because as far as out of all of the out of Gummo and Julien Donkey Boy, essentially, the screenplay at least, follows the film more or less 100%. But what is different is when you read the scenes part of the screenplay, I guess, you find out that after Julien kills the kid with the turtle at the start, that he later goes back to make sure that the body is still concealed. And in addition to that, he's also having sex with this chick at one point. And Julien, being a character as far as the written page is concerned, as opposed to Ewan Bremner's portrayal of him in the film, he's a lot more with it socially. He's not so lost like he is in the movie. It's like, you know, like I said, he's banging this chick, and he goes back to check to make sure that the kid's body is still buried, which totally implies that he knows the difference between right and wrong. I don't love that so much. I love how in the movie it kicks off with him killing the kid with the turtle, and then that kid is just forgotten about, which does a fantastic job as far as implying that Julien's schizophrenia, it's got him so completely that he doesn't think about the kid again, because he's moved on. You know what I mean? He's just wandering around, dancing in the shower, saying how he hates the mailman. And you know what I mean? Like, he just continues to sort of become more and more unhinged. And I like that more because despite the brutality of how the film opened, once you show that he went back to make sure that no one had found the body, it totally shifts your perception of Julien so considerably that you almost can't see him the same way. Toss that and the fact that he's having sex with somebody, I mean, that's just the Julien portrayed in the movie. I know he had sex with his sister. Now, maybe him and his sister were fucking like rabbits or not. I don't know. But I always sort of figured it was a one-time thing between him and his sister. But like I said, the written Julien could possibly suggest otherwise because socially he has a lot more going for him. But this is great because I love how when you read Korine as opposed to watching Korine, you get this whole completely different experience. And that's why, too, where is it? I'm currently reading Ken Park, and even though I found this screenplay to be a little neutered, I'm almost finished, of course, and I will do this next. What I found with Gummo and Julien Donkey Boy, they feel so complete, and they're so fleshed out, and everything just sort of flows, and everything that's in the movie is in the written page, but there's more, of course, in the book, like always, and there's a lot more going on underneath the hood of both of these films. And I love how you could find like the perfect relationship between reading the screenplay and watching the films. I think that's fantastic. And I did kind of feel that there was that disconnect at play with Ken Park, as opposed to the written Ken Park to the filmed Ken Park. But yeah, so this video, oh my God, this video is almost 20 minutes long. So I think I'll stop there. God willing, I don't even remember how to put chapter stops in. I'll have to figure it out again because this video is a little long. Yeah, so like always, thank you so much for hanging out with me for damn near 20 minutes while I discussed the Collected Screenplays 1 of Harmony Korine. If you liked this review, or if you made it to the end, you should probably do something nice for yourself. Yes, because of the length of this video. Don't do anything nice for anybody else. Do something nice for yourself. You sat through 20 minutes of this, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I hope you guys have an awesome Friday. You guys are amazing. Have a good night. I just wanted to say thank you for making it through the entire video. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to remind everyone one more time, even though I've probably already done this in the video that you just watched, to please click the like button as well as the subscribe button because it helps this channel grow. And thank you for hitting like and subscribe, and we will see you guys really soon.